Hey, it's Eldon back here. Another episode of the Crazy Dad Lotus, Crazy Dad's Garage. We went and dug the body out of the storage unit today, so we're going to start on this. And I've got some fun ideas for the paint job, and we're going to work through that process. Because it's fiberglass, there's not a whole lot of body work that needs to be done, but we do have a lot of old raunchy paint that we've got to get off of it, and got several layers on there. This was originally this lime green color, and I don't think I'm going to go back to that. I don't quite like that shade of lime, but it's obviously been painted yellow. There we go. So start out green and primer and more primer and more primer, more primer and yellow. I don't know, maybe it was orange, but I think that was probably a primer. Yellow, and then brown was the color that it ended up at. And I don't think I want to go with any of those, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. But we're just going to mess around with it here and see how far we get, and try to get it to where it's going to look decent, and then put a fun paint job on it that will be unique to this car and get it back to that status where we can be driving it again and enjoying it, and without spending a whole ton of money on it. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm gonna be trying to get as much of that brown paint off as I can with a razor blade scraper, because it's coming off that way in a lot of places, and I think we'll be able to get a lot of it off that way. So we'll do that, and I don't know how far down we'll take it, but we'll kind of let you know as we make some progress on it here and see how this thing goes. So welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Dad Lotus. We are, after a couple hours of scraping, that brown and the primer under it and the yellow basically have scraped right off of this part for the most part, and that's nice, because that means then all we got to do is sand that finish underneath it to get it looking good. So that's working pretty good. Now I'm sure that it's not going to be that easy on the rest of the car. We may have to do quite a bit of sanding here, but anyway, thought I'd show you what we accomplished so far, and we'll be back as we progress. Alright, here she sits, guys, after a full day scraping with the razor blades. We got the better part of 2 layers of primer and 2 layers of paint off of this thing, and it's still got some spots of it, but it really made a big difference, and a lot of that stuff just flaked right off of there. That's why that razor blade, I think, was a really good way to go about getting this paint off. Now obviously I still have places like down in here that razor blade won't be very effective on, I don't think, so I'll end up sanding those. And I haven't touched the doors yet, but I feel like we're in a place now where we can actually go through and get this thing ready to start getting the body work done on the paint. So anyway, I'll show you what I think all of these different colors are about here. I believe that the car, judging by the places that were covered by upholstery and things, was originally this lime green color right there. And I think that it probably wasn't as pretty of a lime green as like Chrysler's Sublime back in the day, but I'm pretty sure that what must have happened, because the car only has 27,000 miles on it, and my friend that gave it to me, his dad actually has had it since it had 4,000. So I believe what probably happened is this color was not a real popular color back in that time frame. It was with the younger people and everything, but this car would have been kind of expensive and would have been something that an older person probably would have bought. And so I'll bet that it sat on the dealer's lot for long enough that they decided we got to paint it some other color, that's never going to sell. And that's where the yellow came in. And when they did that, the prep work that they did to put it on there wasn't very good, because that yellow paint is really where the defective hold is for both of these top layers. So anyway, I think it was probably yellow, and then they sold it. And then I know for a fact that the thing was wrecked sometime in that first 4,000 miles. And I suspect that at that time they did the repair work, and judging by what I'm finding on the places where the bulk of the repair was, like here on the front, I think that they probably changed the color on it then to the brown, and that's probably where it stayed when my friend's dad bought it. It was probably brown. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Look at this pile of paint down there underneath the sawhorses. It's a pretty good pile of paint chipped off of that thing. So anyway, we'll stop there for right at the moment, and I will probably in the next day or two get those doors scraped off and probably get the sander out and start cleaning up some of this stuff. So that, I think, is where we're going to be here on the Crazy Dad Lotus. Yeah, I thought I'd throw this in here too. Picked up this set of wheels at a wrecking yard the other day. They were all on one car, and no, they're not the exact bolt pattern for this car, but the offset on the back allows me to build spacers in there, so I can adapt the bolt pattern as well as get them mounted to where I want them to. So we'll probably do a whole video episode on that, but I wanted to throw that in here because they're part of the project. They're sitting here with us, and I'm sure you've seen them in other pieces of this video. So there you go, another fun piece of the project. Alright, well, I think we made some pretty good progress here. We got all that brown paint stripped off, and we're down to some of the levels of primer. I think I can keep it there at that point, probably, and be pretty good. I'd like to get it all down at least to the green, maybe get the green off, but I'm not there yet, not ready. We're going to work on some other parts here. So, got that done. I'm really finding, I think, that the glass is in pretty good shape. We've got a few places where we got some cracks we've got to deal with, but it's coming along, looking really good here. I've been trying to figure out exactly what we need to do, if it's possible to strip the paint off chemically, and I've gone to a paint store and they've done a lot of research, and there's supposed to be some fiberglass friendly strippers, but they're not. We can't find them anymore. And so I did get some regular aircraft stripper, and they said if you're careful with this and get it off as soon as you get the paint on it, you'll probably be okay. But I stripped these buckets, or tried to. It only took about one coat off, and it didn't do a good job of that. So I've had to spend an hour or two just sanding them to get them to this point. But it's all right. We'll get there. I've got a couple of spots like right here. If you can see, yeah, right in there. I've got cracks coming down through the paint, and those I think are going to have to at least go all the way down to the fiberglass. I don't know. I'm seeing some crack in the fiberglass, and I don't know if we're going to be able to deal with that, or I'm going to have to fix it or what. But I've got that in a few places, but this is really one of the worst places right there. And that's kind of going to be a wrap, I think, on what I'm working on right now. So I'm going to throw this video up, and we'll just see how many of you see it and like it. And it's just another step in the saga of the Crazy Dad Lotus. And just like all our other projects, one little step at a time. Some steps go real fast, others are a royal pain in the behind, like this one, and you just have to deal with them and move through. So there you go. We'll be back with another episode of the Crazy Dad Lotus at some time in the not too distant future.